Hey y'all, Eric here. Just thought I'd jump on here with something that affects me and about 1.4 million Carolinians, but more than that, another 40 million people across the country. So here's what's going on. Earlier today on the news, Governor Stein, who is the governor of North Carolina, the Democratic governor, said that he sent a request to the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, still wrapping my brain around how the United States Department of Agriculture has control of WIC and SNAP benefits. But that is a subject for another day when I have time to do research on that. And so the USDA said the USDA said that not only were they not going to release the emergency funds to states so that the SNAP benefits and WIC information for November could go through, if the states decided to release their own reserves so that the SNAP benefits in each of their states, respective states, could continue, they were not going to reimburse the states because that would be illegal. And of course, the head of the United States Department of Agriculture is run by a Trumpian. I say all this to say, before we dive deep into it, if you honestly think that your president, that the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and the Senate leader over the Senate, John Thune, give a fat happy rat's ass about any of you, here is your wake-up call. They don't. They don't. Quite honestly, if I did not have my early retirement benefits coming in, I don't know what I would do. I really don't. At least for right now, they're not touching Social Security. Because I guess then if they did, then maybe everybody in the nation would be taking up tiki torches and marching on Washington. But that's not what's happening, because this is what's happening to the poorest of us, of which I'm one of them. I still, to this day, being a little vulnerable here, but the older you get, I'm 63, the older we get, we just don't give a fat fuck about what anybody else cares about, who we are and the situations we're in. We're just trying to get it done day by day. We are just trying to get it day by day. And so I've needed assistance from SNAP benefits before. And if it weren't for the state's Medicaid rolls, I've done videos on this before, I wouldn't have insurance. Because early retirement doesn't give you everything. And depending on your 40 credits that you've done over the years of your working life, that determines what your Social Security benefit is coming in. But this video is not about Social Security. This benefit is about food insecurity. Now, true, there are some people on the rolls who really should have no business being on the rolls. They shouldn't. But again, that's not the subject of this video. The South Carolina governor, Henry McMasters, has said that if the government does not open back up, that they're going to declare a state of emergency because the South Carolina SNAP benefits will run out on Friday. And that's 600,000 people in South Carolina who depend on SNAP benefits for food. The WIC money for women and babies, that's actually going to run out. and the 1.4 million people in North Carolina. Now, North Carolina has about $230 million, I believe, in the reserves. It's not nearly enough to help with that. But if they were to use that, the USDA says, sorry, we're not going to reimburse you for it. So let's dive in. First, I'm going to show you what showed up on my Facebook page just now as I was scrolling through, and this was done today. Where is it? Yep, there it is. Here you go. Monday, October 27th, 2025, from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Disruption in SNAP benefits in North Carolina as the federal government shutdown continues. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services today announced the November benefits for 1.4 million North Carolinians who rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, will be delayed if the federal government shutdown continues. Today is the 27th. Including today, there are only 5 days left in this month. November begins Saturday. Yes, Saturday. Now that I've shown you that, let's talk about this article from The Hill. And I'll scroll back up. SNAP funding expiration set to hit 40 million people. And this was posted yesterday on Sunday. So let's dive in. And as of this moment, as of the video, the federal government is still shut down. So more than 40 million low-income food assistance beneficiaries are expected to receive less help with grocery bills or no help at all in the coming days. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, the USDA, is threatening to withhold billions of dollars in Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, contingency fund, which Congress has already allocated for emergency scenarios if the government shutdown stretches into November. Hold on to that right there that I just read. This right here, that right there. A contingency fund with billions of dollars in it allocated for emergency scenarios if the government shutdown stretches into November. There is between $5 billion and $6 billion currently in that fund, experts say. That's not enough to cover the estimated $8 billion in SNAP benefits due out next month, but it would allow for partial payments to help low-income Americans defray food costs. On Friday, however, the USDA released guidance saying it won't use those funds to cover SNAP benefits if the government shutdown extends beyond October 31st, a move that appears designed to maximize the pressure on Senate Democrats to support a GOP spending bill to reopen the government. So now they are leveraging food, something that we all need to live. They are leveraging food, or the lack thereof, against Senate Democrats to go ahead and approve a so-called clean continuing resolution bill. And that if they do, then the duly elected representative from Arizona will be given her oath, unless Mike Johnson finds some other reason to not give her the oath because of the Epstein files, because she would be the 218th vote to call for a vote to release the files, and there are enough Republicans on the House side that would join them to release the files. And Title IX might be invoked to remove Mike Johnson from the Speaker's position. And I'll remind you that Mike Johnson is third in line in succession to the presidency. So again, when I say that Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, and John Thune, the leader of the Senate, doesn't give a fat happy rat's ass about where you are right now, they don't. They are playing a blame game. A blame game. Now, the same could be said for Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House, and Chuck Schumer, the minority leader in the Senate, for playing gamesmanship about not signing the continuing resolution and shutting the government down because of healthcare premiums and cuts to Medicaid, so that the richest of us in this country can benefit from that. And if you honestly believe that the richest of us are not benefiting that, then either you're blind and deaf or you just don't give a fat happy rat's ass. And that's my opinion, and I have the receipts to back it up. But you don't have to believe me. I have produced receipts in just about every video that I've talked about with this, and you can do the work yourself. You can do the research yourself and see that I'm not making this up. But I digress. In a memo first reported by Axios, the USDA said the reason is simple. The contingency fund was designed to respond to unforeseen events like natural disasters, and the current shutdown doesn't qualify because it was manufactured by the Democrats. To spend the money on SNAP benefits during such an event, the USDA argues, would be illegal. What law are they citing this on? Because if we go back up to the second paragraph that I read, which defined what the contingency funding is for, which states emergency scenarios, I don't know about you, but people going without food, that constitutes an emergency. And who's supposed to pick up the slack? The pantries, churches, other areas, going to people and say, hey, can I get some help? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with anybody asking for help. Hell, I've done it. I had a GoFundMe plan when I lost my job, so that I wouldn't be homeless. But this is just insane. And it goes on to say the contingency fund is a source of funds for contingencies. I don't know how redundant that is, such as the Disaster SNAP program, which provides food purchasing benefits for individuals in disaster areas, including natural disasters like hurricanes, tornadoes, and floods that can come on quickly and without notice. The memo contradicts the shutdown plan prepared by the USDA earlier in the year, which said the department is legally obligated to pay SNAP benefits in the event of a shutdown. That right there. They're talking out of the side of their mouth. The memo contradicts the shutdown plan prepared by the USDA earlier in the year, which said the department is legally obligated to pay SNAP benefits in the event of a shutdown. Now, this also, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm not. But this also tells me that maybe they knew that they could see that a government shutdown was coming, just like some of the rest of us who were paying attention, even way back then. Congressional intent is evident that SNAP's operation should continue, since the program has been provided with multi-year contingency funds that can be used for state administration expenses to ensure that the state can also continue operation during the federal government shutdown. That policy read. The plan has since been deleted. No surprise there. And Brooke Rollins, who is the secretary of the USDA, had forecast the new policy in recent days, saying the burden is on Senate Democrats to liberate those funds by voting to end the shutdown. Again, all the agencies, and this piece is not surprising to me anyway, that all of the Trump administration agencies are conspiring and using American citizens in some of the most dire situations, including federal workers who are deemed as essential, who have to go to work, and today, or maybe it's tomorrow, they will not get a paycheck. And yet, the House of Representatives and the senators will continue to get paid during the government shutdown. Yes, that is written in the Constitution. While everybody else may not get paid, but they're going to get paid. And here's the ironic part about it. The House is not even in session. Mike Johnson will not call them back. In fact, I can quote him as saying, and this was on the news too, he said that it would be a waste of time. Actually, let me see if I can pull this up. I'm just going to do a search right in front of you. Speaker Mike Johnson is not bringing the House back into session because he argues that the Senate must first pass legislation to end the government shutdown, and doing so before that happens would be a waste of time and would remove pressure from Senate Democrats to act. That right there. And here are multiple news outlets who heard him say it. So again, I will reiterate that Donald Trump, who's embarrassing us in East Asia, trying to dance with the Chinese over tariffs, Mike Johnson, who is a piss poor Speaker of the House, who could not stoop low enough to finish kissing the boots of Donald Trump, or however many rings that's on his hand, and John Thune, who's the same thing, they don't give a fat happy rat's ass about any of our situations. None whatsoever. And again, 5 days, or nearly four now, because it's 10:30 p.m. now. 4 days before 40 million Americans will not have funds to buy food. And if 40 million people go to pantries, because there's not a pantry for each person, what about the people in the federal government who aren't getting paid? Some of them are not showing up at the work because they had to take on second jobs so they can have money coming in to feed their families, to pay bills. The mortgage companies don't care that the government is shut down. The auto loan companies don't care that the government is shut down. Your cell phone bill company doesn't care that the government is shut down. None of that. So I want you to think long and hard as we go into this election cycle. Who is actually on the side of the people of this country? I can assure you, it ain't the Democrats that are, well, actually, I backtrack on that. They're doing their level best with what little power that they have. But some of them need to go. They do. Some of them need to go. Particularly John Fetterman. He needs to go, along with the other ones who voted with the Republicans. But I will tell you this, and I'm not going to bash all Republicans. I'm not. But the MAGA regime, those who are bootlickers and ring kissers, those people do not have not even a mediocrity of your best interest when they are wheeling and dealing on Capitol Hill. They don't. They don't care. Because if they did, then I want you to also look up Politics Girl on YouTube. I saw a short by her the other day, actually today. And her family gets their insurance through the Affordable Care Act. And she showed the letter that she received from the government telling her what her premium is going to be next year. She showed it on screen, or actually maybe she read it. $4,460 per month is her future family insurance monthly premium. Over $4,000. And she says it's not sustainable. It's not. They don't know what they're going to do. That's what the Democrats are talking about. Not to mention the fact the millions of people who are going to have to go without health care because in order to pay for those tax cuts for the billionaires, that money had to come from somewhere. That brings us back to the big, beautiful bill where they took $880 million and cut Medicaid, took some money from the Affordable Care Act plan, and took some money from Medicare so that it tunes up to over $1 billion in healthcare cuts to pay for the tax cuts where that money goes to the wealthiest of people in this country. And again, I asked you, do you honestly think that any of those people, the three leaders of this country, of our government, actually give a fat happy rat's ass about any of us? They do not. Hashtag, elections have consequences. More has to be done, and it can be done. And you know why? Because resistance is not futile. And I'm just going to leave that right there. See you on the next video. And we'll just see if over the next 4 days, if anybody comes to their senses and reopens the government.